Welcome back. I've talked about the Mideast several times now, and I want to go over a few things so we understand what's going on at this moment. The whole problem in the Mideast is tribal, and it's religious tribal. The two main religious factions in the Mideast is the Sunni and the Shia. Now there's another group called the Kurds, which are Sunnis, but they're kind of like the cousins nobody wants to invite to the party. They don't like them. It's just a situation that's gone back for centuries. The three main countries over there that are Shiite controlled are Syria, Iran, and Iraq. Now, when we left Iraq, Maliki, the president at the time, who was Shiite, promised that he would not bother the Sunni or the Kurds. Assad in Syria did some pretty horrible things. There's still a question whether he actually used chemical warfare against his people. There's still a possibility that one of the rebel groups did it and blamed it on him. Now, we talked about the Khorasan. I come to find out that it's a good possibility, though I wouldn't go along with it. Khorasan was a name made up by our government so they wouldn't be using the word Al-Qaeda, because it's basically the leftover Al-Qaeda group. ISIS, which actually is 10 years old, is the formidable problem we have right now. ISIS formed, along with the rest of the rebel groups, in Syria fighting Assad. All these rebel groups pretty much were funded by the country of Yemen. So don't look for them for any help. ISIS enlarged its holdings of people and warriors. There are about 10,000 estimated fighters in ISIS and about 36,000 people that are going along with ISIS. When ISIS moved into Iraq, which is a Shiite-controlled country, a lot of the Sunnis joined ISIS. Now, lately, what has just come to light is the Shiite government of Iraq, not the government, they're kind of looking aside about it. The militias, there are several Shiite militias in Iraq. They've been rounding up Sunnis and killing them, even if they don't belong to ISIS. And the government's kind of looking the other way. Saudi Arabia has joined our quote-unquote coalition. They haven't done anything. They said they would send in troops, but they haven't. The only reason they want to be involved is that they want us to go over there and defeat ISIS, because 93% of their population is Sunni. The Saud family, however, are Wahhabi Sunnis, and it's two entirely different sects. The Jeune Khalifa in Algeria that beheaded the French mountain climber, have sworn allegiance to the Caliph Baghdadi, which is the Caliph running ISIS. Now, a Caliph is somebody who is a political and religious leader, so they control everything. Baghdadi spent 4 years in an American prison in Iraq. So he has no love for us. When he left the prison, he said, "I will be coming to New York." We have totally screwed up our bombing of ISIS. I said in one of the other ones we had two choices here. We could take vengeance, which is ours and our right, kill 10 or 20,000 of them and leave. Or we could go in and wipe them out. Now, it would take an army of about 500,000 boots on the ground, 500,000 men with boots on the ground, to go in and wipe out ISIS. Europe is not going to supply all those people. So you know who will have to do it? We will have to do it. Great Britain's been talking a great game. They bombed a couple things. France has actually done more than Britain, which is surprising as hell to me. We have bombed and got the people off the mountain where the Christians were located. But in Khorasan, which is the town that the Kurds are fighting to keep ISIS out of, it comes and goes. It's kind of like World War I. They'll make 500 feet one day, lose it the next day. ISIS is right on the border of Baghdad. Chances are Baghdad will fall and become under ISIS control. Now, when you look at all this, this is a very, very, very complex picture. And the reason I'm trying to point out some of these things is just one little incident. Yesterday, a contractor, a U.S. contractor working for a company in Saudi Arabia was shot. He wasn't killed, but he was shot with 2 other people almost shot. They missed him. Contractor is another word, I believe, in this case for mercenary. Now, we still have those 2 options. We can bomb the living daylights out of them and leave, or we can go in and fight. So far, our administration hasn't had the heart for either one. Our bombing hasn't amounted to hardly anything. It's cost us about $250,000 per person killed, because we drop $1 million bomb, we kill 4 people. Doesn't make sense to me. Okay? We do not need their oil. In fact, oil has dropped so much that they're talking about what effect it's going to have on most of the Mideast countries. They're losing their oil profits. One of these days, the only thing they'll have to sell is sand, and we don't need that either. The only country that's pretty much dependent on oil from the Mideast is Japan. Let them take care of it. We have no heart to go in there and do what we need to do. We need to go in there. If we want to go in, we need to go in with 500,000 troops and wipe them all out, but there's a problem. They're like cockroaches. You wipe them out, there'll be another 10,000 come about. What we need to do, in my opinion, is simply leave. Forget all of it. Leave a couple battleships beside Israel to protect them, and come on home. Why? Last week, an Iraqi walked across the border from Canada. Somebody just happened to notice him trying to flag down a car, called police, they called Homeland Security. It was an Iraqi we threw out 2 weeks before. There's nothing to stop anybody from walking across the border. Europe can't do anything because there are probably still 200 or 300 Al-Qaeda cells in Europe. What we have to do is come home and protect ourselves. Now, I'm not an isolationist. I am not a dove. I'm a bloody hawk. But there comes a situation when you have to protect your own ass. And that's what we have to do now. We have to bring all our troops back, close the borders, because they will be sending people. They will either come in with a dirty bomb and come through one of the tunnels in Mexico-U.S. border, or they could just simply walk across the border in Massachusetts, well, not Massachusetts, Vermont or New Hampshire. Or they could get one of the U.S. citizens over there fighting for ISIS, give them some Ebola, and have them come home. One way or another, we have to stop what's happening over there. It is too complex. They have been killing each other for 1,500 years, and nothing is going to change. If you think you can go over there, democratize that kind of country with their religion and their culture, it's never, ever going to happen. All we're going to do is lose another 20 or 30,000 soldiers. We're going to spend a ton of money, which we don't have. So the bottom line is, get out. Now, if they come over here and dirty bomb us or something like that, find out where they come from and level it. Not just pick and choose a few soldiers, go over and level the area. Because that's the only thing that culture understands is power. Right now, our main goal and what we have to do is protect ourselves. I can't see any other option. We don't need the oil. Because we had so much oil, the price of oil is dropping, and that's going to hurt them more than our soldiers ever could. Think about it. I wish I was an advisor to all the governments, but I'm not. Think about it, look at it. If you have any questions, write them in the comments section. Please hit like button and subscribe. There are so many things coming to pass right now. A lot of it I mentioned in my book that was published in 2010, Fatal Choice, The Last Days of the USA. More and more of it's coming true. After the election, mark my word, times will be changing. And we have to stay on top of it. You have to be prepared. Until next time, be well and be prepared.